So today we're going to take two American League pitchers and we're going to compare them sabermetrically. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Brian Talks Baseball, where I'm Brian and we talk about baseball. If you're new around here, do me a favor, let that subscribe button. I make videos about sabermetrics. I do player analysis. I also do commentary on social and political issues as they impact Major League Baseball. The White Sox have been really good so far in 2020 in this weird-ass fucking season. It's had a lot to do with their pitching, more specifically their starting pitching. Two of the guys that have been really good on their starting staff are Lucas Giolito and Dallas Keuchel. And those are the two pitchers I kind of want to talk about today. One of the biggest ideas behind sabermetric thought is understanding how to use certain metrics to comparatively analyze players and figure out who's going to be the better player or better pitcher going forward. Again, it's all about predicting future success, not just looking at current success. So the first thing I want to do is kind of walk you through my methodology, right? Because I think that's important. So the first thing we're going to look at is more of like the surface level traditional stats. Second, we're going to go into more of the skill-based metrics. Finally, we're going to go into some of those underlying metrics, some of those metrics that are, influencing the results that we're seeing. And finally, we'll talk about my verdict, who I think is the better pitcher, who's going to be the better pitcher going forward. So with that said, let's get started. If we look at, some of the simpler, more traditional metrics, like win-loss record or ERA, you might say, Dallas Keuchel's been the better pitcher in 2020. He's got a 6-2 record versus Lucas Giolito's 4-3 record. Dallas Keuchel's made 10 starts to Giolito's 11. ERA, it's not even close. Dallas Keuchel has a 2.04 ERA in 2020, which is, one of the best in baseball. Giolito 3.53. I mean, that's good, but not great. But remember, if you guys watched my problem with ERA Saber Minute, you'll understand that ERA is a very noisy metric, and there are some other things that we need to go into it. So let's keep digging in here. If we go into some of the more skill-based metrics, specifically looking at strikeout percentage, Lucas Giolito misses a lot more bats. That's a much more sustainable way to prevent runs, almost double what Dallas Keuchel is doing as far as, strikeout percentage. Yeah, he's walking more guys, but I mean, that's okay. You'll take a few extra walks when a guy's missing more bats because naturally he's going to be throwing more pitches. He's trying to strike guys out. That's okay as long as the walks don't come back to hurt. And for the most part, that hasn't really happened with Giolito, even going back to last year. So I'm okay with the walks as long as they're not super excessive. Dallas Keuchel, his ability to limit walks really helps him. He's not a guy who's going to miss a lot of bats, but you can count on him to limit walks, and his ability to limit walks really acts as a buffer for his ERA, even though he's not going to be a guy who, like I said, is going to strike out a lot of hitters. So I really do like that about Dallas Keuchel. Fielding independent pitching, again, if you remember, takes away that batted ball noise. Remember, pitchers of varying levels of skill have little control over what happens once a ball is put in play. Looking at this statistic, Dallas Keuchel's 306 FIP to Lucas Giolito's 319. A little bit better, but honestly, we can call that the same. Expected fielding independent pitching, remember, that takes things a step further and normalizes a pitcher's home run to fly ball percentage. We'll get into that a little bit later. Lucas Giolito's 3.41 is a bit better than Dallas Keuchel's 3.88. It's not a huge difference, but we're going to go into why that difference is what it is. Their wins above replacement, going by Fangraphs. WAR is a framework that estimates a player's overall contribution and puts it in a number to represent wins. So with that said, Giolito's ahead of Keuchel just by a little bit, but that also has a lot to do with the volume of innings. Giolito's pitched a few more innings. And as far as the Fangraphs WAR, that's based on their fielding independent pitching. So the fact that they have a very similar FIP, but Giolito's pitched a few more innings, that goes towards that small difference in FIP between the two pitchers. So when we look at these metrics, it's a lot closer, right? As far as, win-loss record and ERA, Keuchel really kind of blows them away. But again, this is why we need to look at these other metrics, because we get a more clear picture of who's the better pitcher, or maybe we get less of a clear picture. Right now, it's a little bit less clear. It's actually really close. Right now, I like Giolito based on the fact that he's going to miss more bats. I like Giolito because of the fact that his expected fielding independent pitching is about a half a run lower. Remember, FIP and xFIP are ERA predictors or estimators, so they're going to be scaled to ERA, so they kind of work the same way aesthetically. Now, if we keep going into some of the more underlying metrics, if we look at batting average on balls in play, and it's important to include the league averages in these stats as well as their career averages, because it gives you a sense of how these pitchers are going to regress when it comes to these metrics. So in batting average on balls in play, Lucas Giolito's at a 250 BABIP, Dallas Keuchel's 258, really close. The league average is 290, so that would tell you that both of these pitchers are probably going to regress. Dallas Keuchel probably a little bit more so because his career average BABIP is 292, while Lucas Giolito's is 260. You know, I think Giolito's BABIP for his career ultimately goes up back into the 280, 290 range. As far as home runs per fly ball percentage, you know, Lucas Giolito, 12.7%. That's, you know, it's below the league average, but it's not worth splitting too many hairs about. His career home run to fly ball percentage is about what the league average is. Same thing for Keuchel. The biggest reason in my mind why Dallas Keuchel's ERA is so low is because of his home run per fly ball percentage. Now, you could say that he's doing something different that is, you know, aiding in his ability to limit home runs. But if you look at the league average and you look at his career average, it's not like over his career he's limited home runs. Even last year, his home run to fly ball percentage was 23.9%. So it's not like he's doing anything different to prevent home runs. Honestly, this is just one of those metrics that regresses, and he's getting lucky right now, but the home runs are going to come, and they're going to come in bunches, maybe not this year, maybe next year, but either way, that number is going to regress. Like I said, lucky for him, he does a very good job of limiting walks, so when the home runs do come, they're not going to hurt him as much, but you would expect going forward that Dallas Keuchel is going to start allowing more home runs at a rate much higher than Lucas Giolito is. So therefore, I think going forward, as far as pure run prevention, I think Lucas Giolito is probably the better take here. Left on base percentage, that's an estimation of how many runners a pitcher is leaving on base. It's not the percentage of runners they are actually leaving on base. It's an estimation. So the league average for that is around 72% usually. The career average for Giolito and Keuchel is right about the same. Again, Keuchel is, you know, way above the league average. He's leaving, you know, an estimated 82% of runners on base. That's a number that's going to regress. It's going to come back down to the league average. With that said, even though Keuchel is doing a better job of limiting runs and limiting home runs, things like that, because he has so many underlying metrics that are going to regress to the league average. I think the regression is coming for him. I don't know when it's going to come because baseball is just, you know, a funny game like that. But I think because Lucas Giolito, his underlying and skill metrics are more in line with his career and the league average, I think he's a better bet going forward to be the better pitcher. I think this data does a good enough job of letting us know who the better pitcher actually is and who the better pitcher is going to be going forward. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed that video, do me a favor, leave me a like on this video. Please do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, ring that bell so you can get notified every time I make a video. I got a lot more videos coming on the pipeline, so I'm really excited to make those videos for you guys. There's only a week left in the season. I can't believe it. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Later.